Namaste, Hamisha Khush raho betiya. My name is Manisha Singh. Today I am teaching you legislation and food transport. Now let's start with the topic. The sanitary transportation of human and animal food rule was the last regulation finalized as the part of the implementation of the FSMA, that is Food Safety Modernization Act. It requires shippers, loaders, carriers, and receivers involved in the transportation of human or animal food to use practices to ensure food safety. The rule took effect for the large companies last year, with compliance for smaller entities just in force last month and in the first ever regulation around the transportation of food. The story of these regulations actually predates FSMA by 2 decades. The original legislation, the Sanitary Food Transportation Act, was enacted back in 1990 and focused on the use of non-food products in tanker trucks, rail cars, and would later carry food products. The law gave jurisdiction over the transportation of food to the Department of Transportation, but given that agency's lack of food expertise was never acted upon. In 2005, Congress transferred responsibility for the law to the US Food and Drug Administration, although again the agency took no action. The lack of major outbreaks traceable to the transportation and agencies' limited understanding and transportation industry mean that implementation was not to a priority. Congress then included the requirement as per part of the FSMA to ensure the agency did take action. Then FDA worked closely with the transportation sector throughout the rulemaking process. The original proposal would have created significant problems by using food quality terms to create regulatory triggers. While many carrier agreements specify temperatures for food transportation, those terms generally focus on food quality. The original proposal would have made failure to meet these quality conditions a regulatory event, potentially even rendering the food adulterated. Despite the lack of a real food safety concern, the final rule made significant changes that recognize the relative lower risk of transportation, takes a flexible approach to allow current best practices in the supply chain to meet the regulatory requirement. By breaking down the requirements into the 4 different areas: shippers, loaders, carriers, and receivers, the rule places the appropriate responsibilities on the different parties that play a role in food safety in transportation. The mechanisms of the rule are to be implemented by agreements between the parties occupying these various positions, and companies can also occupy more than one position, such as our food service distributor members who handle all areas of responsibility. The rule allows them to use integrated procedures to ensure compliance with the responsibilities for each function. There has been a great deal for misinformation circulating around the specifics of the regulation. In particular, there has been a lack of understanding regarding the flexible nature of the rules. Rather than design a restrictive regulatory regime, the agency created a rule that allows supply chain participants to implement their own solutions appropriate to the food they are handling and equipment they are using. As an example, food requiring temperature control for safety must be transported in vehicles or equipment designed for this purpose, but the rule allows this to be accomplished through a variety of mechanisms ranging from refrigerated trailers to the use of ice or insulated coolers. The same is true regarding the cleaning of the equipment, only requiring that it is to be maintained in an appropriate sanitary condition. Trailers that will only carry food on pallets do not have the same needs as a tanker truck carrying ice cream mix. Ultimately, the rule recognizes that meeting the requirement of transporting food safety can be done in a wide variety of ways and allows parties involved to determine the manner that best meets their particular needs. Thank you.